Hello everyone. In my last video I talked about women and emotionalism. Part of the focus of that talk was on the minority of women who thankfully process emotions in a more masculine way. But what of the majority of women? The ones whose lack of emotional acumen can have you stepping on a mine before you even know you're in a minefield. What do you do if you're already involved with this kind of woman? That is the subject of today's talk on An Ear for Men. We need to get something straight from the outset. In part one of this series, I used some quick examples from YouTube of what passes for advice on relationships. I also pointed out that it was all bullshit. I didn't just do that to have some fun at the expense of others. The fact is, and by fact I mean my opinion, the entire relationship coaching and advice culture is one big gynocentric load of crap. Pick any popular book or video series on salvaging relationships, and what you will find under the misleading cover is advice on how men can keep women happy. That is it. From start to finish, those books are written to profit from the message of pleasing women. That is why it's almost only women buying them. Their advice has nothing to do with healthy relationships and everything to do with assuring women that men are supposed to be comfortable in a role as chivalric vassal. The biggest problem with that, besides the lopsided agenda to infantilize women and make servants of men, is that it's a woman's job to attend to her own happiness. Most relationship advice undermines her ability to do that, and that is conveniently ignored because personal accountability makes the average woman close her purse faster than a man without a job. So we are left with a glut of advice on how to give women what they want. The subtext being how to make sure they keep an interest in you, how to make sure they will still have you. The fact that I'm going to be a lot more honest than that means two things. One, a much smaller audience for me, and two, the chance for you to hear something other than a string of lies. The first bit of truth is probably the most brutal. Guys, there is no how-to formula for any of this. There is no set of behaviors, no game, no techniques that will make an emotional reasoner somehow find rationality and maturity. When dealing with a destructive emotional reasoner, there is no chance at all of improving things that does not come with a significant chance of ending the relationship. If you can't handle that, you might as well turn this video off now. In fact, if your goal is to somehow fix her, and in fixing her keep her, then you're definitely on the wrong path. The only objective I can recommend is to learn how to build a psychological and emotional wall between yourself and her craziness. And you do that through two key absolutes. The first is your willingness to detach and immediately invest in something other than her when she refuses to reason. The second is your uncompromising willingness to let her go if she can't handle it. And yes, for those of you who brought it up, this can be any female family member, not just your wife or girlfriend. For a refresher on that, please review my video, What Men Fear the Most. There's a link in the low bar. Now, if you're like most men, you are ultimately looking for little more than a relationship that does not destroy your peace of mind. You are not looking for a happily ever after fairy tale or life in La La Land with a princess. You'd simply like to have a decent, peaceful, and God forbid, harmonious coexistence with your wife or girlfriend. You don't want drama over infantile bullshit, and you don't want to spend time on the perpetual hamster wheel of seeking her approval. If she happens to be an emotional reasoner, a destroyer of the peace, then your only viable recourse is to deliberately face your fear of loss, then quietly and resolutely draw a line in the sand. If you balk when she threatens to leave, all you've done is increase her sense of power over you. Make no mistake about it, even though you are not saying the words directly, you are issuing an ultimatum. If she wants any kind of relationship, communication, or support from you, the crazy shit has to pack its bags and head for the airport. Not to belabor the point, because this is actually a point that can't be belabored, you cannot motivate change in a woman's behavior unless you are willing to kick her to the curb. If you want to hear something more comfortable than that, then Dr. Phil, John Gray, and 1,000 other gynocentric clones are happy to have you buy their books. I know this is pretty rough stuff, but pretty rough stuff is the only thing I know that will have the slightest possibility of helping you find peace with or without a woman. So, if you need sugar-coated, please go visit a donut shop. I promised a commenter who queried me in the last video that I would get into the specifics on what you do when dealing with this type of woman, and I'm going to follow through with that for the remainder of this talk. I just want to start with a reminder that this is not about changing her. The point is to change you, which is the only thing you can really change anyway. She may well change if you follow these suggestions, or she may hit the highway. In fact, I'm betting that if you follow my suggestions closely, one of those two things will happen. But the fact is that it takes two to salvage a relationship. The only thing you can salvage on your own is you. Remembering that every day will make this a lot easier. You can start this, and by start this, I mean starting to change you, with what I call the Terminator move. When there is conflict, the moment you realize you are not dealing with a person who is willing to reason, quietly inform her you will be ready to listen when she can be reasonable and mature, and then go put Arnold on the DVD player and start watching. If you had any plans with her, cancel them, unless it is something you have to do, like a medical appointment or a funeral. Whatever you do, whatever she says or does, you must ignore her and find something else to do. If you're like many men, this is easier said than done. Of course, the movie's just a metaphor. The point is that you must withdraw from the conflict with a clear message that you don't do irrational bickering. Spend some time invested in anything but her. That time is best used by examining and questioning your own state of mind and your own feelings. Challenge yourself on your desire to fix things with the very person who is making that impossible. Ask yourself why you continue to seek solutions with someone who shoots down every rational option you offer. Allow yourself time for your intellect, which is still not going to lie to you. It's still going to tell you that 2 and 2 is 4, to override your emotions, which either tell you to try to make her see reason, which she won't do, or that makes you obsess on the possibility that she may leave, which she might actually do. Remain detached until and only until she demonstrates the willingness to be reasonable. By reasonable, I don't mean until she agrees with you. All of these suggestions presuppose that you are being rational and fair with her. If you're not, you have a whole other set of problems that I can't address in the scope of this video. Now, some men will say that they can't get away from her. They don't have a man cave or a place in the home where she won't follow them, continuing the conflict. If that's the case, get out of the house for a while. Go see a movie. Go to dinner. Go visit a friend if she hasn't run them all off. Take a long walk, but freaking find a way to escape. Don't make excuses. Take the responsibility to make a pathway to get her out of your hair and to send yourself the message that you don't do crazy so many times that it starts to sink in that you actually don't do crazy. Once again, that's the point. The repeated proven message that you won't participate in irrational, stupid, emotionalized arguments with a child posing as an adult will certainly put her at a crossroads, but the onus to learn is still on you. If she's smart enough, she'll begin to realize that the only path to possible satisfaction about her complaints is through acting like an adult about them. That's not for her benefit, but for yours. The ability to detach and take care of yourself and to practice the good value of not arguing with a capricious child can save your sanity. It is your willingness to be alone, and to pay whatever price you need to pay for having chosen that woman that allows you to set a boundary around yourself and to maintain your dignity for the rest of your life. And that's it on this front, amigos. There is nothing else to it. The really tough part for most men is that they are so conditioned to ultimately yield to a woman's desires, no matter how capricious or childish, that they end up miserable. Sometimes, all too often actually, they end up suicidal. It also contributes to escape into a bottle, drug abuse, affairs, and even violence out of the frustration of all of it. All of that can be erased, even cured, once you allow yourself to live life as a fair and willing partner versus being tethered to her whims like an unpaid butler. To beat the dead horse one last time, all of this is up to you. The responsibility for all of it is yours. You can make her change her own emotional diapers if you are not the one standing there with a handful of baby wipes every time she makes a mess. That concludes part 2 of this series. Next up is a history lesson on how so many men got to this sorry state, with a clear explanation of why it is so important for you to understand that history. Till then, I hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Hey guys, time for some Monday myth busting. Today's myth is addressed to American men. It is the boneheaded idea that you can do better with women by shopping for one in a foreign country. Duh. Come on, guys. Why do you think foreign women are shopping for an American husband on the internet? Love? Friendship? Maybe it's that big fat American wallet they think we all have. Many, if not most of the women putting profiles out for the review of American men are looking for a ticket to the States, and they know damn well they can dump you shortly after getting here, taking your big fat American wallet with them. Sure, some cultures still have better values about marriage than we do here, but newsflash, guys, those with good values on marriage aren't shopping for husbands they don't know 5,000 miles away. Much better to improve yourself and work within your own culture than to chase a pipe dream because you think the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. As always, please give us a sub to this channel, a like to the video, and share it. And if you like, visit the Patreon page to help us produce more of this content. Thanks, and we'll see you Thursday. Bye-bye.